This meeting will be live streamed on the city's website. Members of the public using the hybrid format will be able to provide comments using the Zoom webinar platform. Members of the public who wish to provide testimony remotely must enter the virtual queue by clicking on the raised hand icon before the queue closes. The virtual queue will close 5 minutes after in-person testimony ends. Also, per section 2.6.2 A and B of the Rules of Council, speakers participating virtually may not allocate their time to other speakers. Time can only be ceded by speakers who are in the hearing room. Michael Prince will now go over the specifics of how the public can participate and give their public testimony.
Thank you, Chair Modane. If you are in person, please complete a speaker slip if you wish to speak. In-person testimony will conclude before virtual testimony begins. Members of the public can join the webinar by computer, tablet, or smartphone by accessing the link, which is listed online in the preamble language of the agenda on the Planning Commission's webpage. Or you may dial 1-669-254-5252. The webinar ID is 160-944-0367. Please note that if you are watching online, there may be a 30-second delay. Please participate via the audio on your phone and mute your TV or computer when it is your turn to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to take roll call. As I call your name, please indicate if you are present. Commissioner Mazzari.
Present.
Commissioner Malbrough.
Present.
Commissioner Ranger.
Present.
Vice Chair Boomhauer.
Present.
Chair Modane is present. Commissioner Miyahara and Commissioner Reeves are both absent. The staff members present with us today are Michael Prince, Assistant Deputy Director from Development Services, Kobe Tomlins, Program Manager, City Planning, Lauren Hendrickson, Deputy City Attorney, Mehdi Khalili, Senior Civil Engineer, and our legislative staff. We will now start our agenda with public comment for non-agenda items. This portion of the agenda is an opportunity for the public to make comments on planning-related items that are not on today's agenda. Any person wishing to speak will have 3 minutes maximum to provide testimony. If you would like to speak, please click on the raised hand icon on your screen. Okay, we do not have any public speakers. Are there any items to be continued or withdrawn? I don't think so. Okay. Is there a request to place any items on consent? Commissioner Malbrough.
Yes, Chair. I would like to place item 2 and 3 on consent.
Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on items 2 and 3? We have people in favor. Can you please raise your hand if you'd like to speak? No? Okay, is there
Motion.
okay. Jeff Heuter, you'll have 3 minutes. Please reference which item you are wishing to speak on as well.
So I assume this is of the whole agenda, and item 3 is the investigation of the site at Barnes and Pacific Heights. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so I just like, as on behalf of Neighbors for a Better San Diego, I'd just like to say that we're in full support of the proposal to do this. I personally used to have my office in that vicinity, and it's a very job-rich location, and it makes a lot of sense, particularly within the context of the Mira Mesa Community Plan update, to add residential capability in that area. The one thing I will say is hopefully there'll be some flexibility to add commercial activity there. The one big thing that's missing from that whole area, because it's been traditionally office, is anything related to a grocery store. There's a liquor store nearby, but that's insufficient to meet those grocery needs. And the closest grocery store is several miles away. So adding that flexibility. And then the staff report notes that there's parks 2 or 3 miles away, but it'd be great if there was some plan to add a neighborhood park to that area. So again, we support the proposal and hope it goes forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the items on consent?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We can go to a vote on the consent agenda. And that passes. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 28th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We can go to a vote on those meeting minutes. Okay, meeting minutes have passed. Do we have any director's reports?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The last planning commission hearing was held on August 28th. At that hearing, the item for the Toriana project was continued today, which will be heard shortly. The other item heard was a workshop on the Claremont Community Plan update, and which provided input on the second draft of the plan. The community plan update is currently scheduled for an October 16th Planning Commission recommendation hearing before it moves forward for approval at City Council. The Development Services Department has recently been made aware of imposter emails being sent to city building permit customers as part of a phishing scam requesting either a response back or some kind of submitted payment related to projects. Despite using language commonly found in city documents, these are not official city communications and customers are advised not to follow their directions. Please note that the city never asks for wire transfers. And finally, I wanted to recognize Sabrina Custer. She has now worked at the city of San Diego for 25 years. Normally, we congratulate her as part of our normal quarterly meeting, but she was unable to attend the most recent one. So we decided to use this forum to thank her for her 25 years of service, all that she does for the commission, the department, and the public as a whole. So we have a certificate signed by me, obviously, and a pin to thank her for 25 years of service. So thank you, Sabrina. And that concludes my report.
Is there a director's report from planning?
No report from city planning.
Congrats, Sabrina. Is there any non-agenda commission comment? No? Okay, then we can go on to item number 1. Staff, whenever you are ready.
The phone in testimony is now open. Please review the instructions provided on the screen. Good morning, Chair Modan and Planning Commissioners. I am Hector Rios with the Development Services Department. The item before you is an appeal of the project for PRJ 1058759. The staff report detailing the appeal issues and staff responses was provided. Here is a quick overview of the project. The 10.2 acre project site is located at 11011 Toriana Road in the University Community Plan area. The project site is bordered by Toriana Road to the west, existing scientific and research development to the north and south, and open space to the east. PRJ 1058-759 is located at 11011 Toriana Road. The project proposes the demolition of an existing 76,694 square foot research and development building and the construction of a new 152,080 square foot research and development building and 4 levels of subterranean parking. The project requires a coastal development permit and a site development permit. Project timeline. June 7th, 2022, the project was deemed complete. December 6th, 2024, the subsequent mitigated negative declaration, or MMD, was finalized. April 9th, 2025, the hearing officer approved the project and adopted the subsequent MMD and mitigated monitoring reporting program. April 16th, 2025, the appeal of the environmental determination and appeal of the project was filed by Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, or SAFER. July 14th, 2025, City Council denied the appeal of the environmental determination, and on July 30th, 2025, Coastal Commission sent an email to staff raising issues with the project. The appeal of the hearing officer's decision may only be granted with evidence supporting one of the following findings. 1, factual error. 2, new information. 3, findings not supported. And 4, conflicts. The Planning Commission may affirm, reverse, or modify the decision being appealed. On April 16, 2025, SAFER, an interested party, filed an appeal of the hearing officer's decision on grounds of factual error, findings not supported, and new information. The appeal raised 10 issues. I will now pass the presentation to Morgan Dresser to discuss each issue.
Thank you. I'm Morgan Dresser with the Environmental Analysis Section of Development Services. As a reminder, today's public hearing is on the project appeal and not the environmental determination. EAS conducted an environmental review consistent with the San Diego Municipal Code, MSCP, biology guidelines, and the city's CEQA determination thresholds. The first appeal issue contends that the hearing officer's decision constituted an abuse of discretion because the city failed to adequately analyze and mitigate the project's impacts. The appellant states that there is substantial evidence of a fair argument that the project would result in significant adverse impacts to biological resources. The appellant requests that the city prepare an environmental impact report to analyze and mitigate impacts in accordance with CEQA. The hearing officer's decision to adopt the subsequent mitigated negative declaration was informed by a site-specific biological report prepared by a qualified biologist in accordance with the city's biology guidelines. Impacts of the project were adequately analyzed and the appropriate environmental determination was made. The appeal does not provide substantial evidence that the project would significantly impact biological resources requiring the preparation of an EIR. The second appeal issue contends that there is a fair argument that the project may have significant adverse impacts on biological resources. The figure on the screen illustrates that the appellant's biologist surveyed an incorrect site approximately 825 feet east and downslope of the project location, which possesses different biological conditions. The appeal states that the alternate site was intended to be interpreted as a surrogate to the project site because it could be assumed that the same species would likewise be detected. The information provided in the appeal is not based on a site-specific survey and is speculative, unsubstantiated, and based on assumptions. Thus, the information from another site does not constitute substantial evidence that the project may significantly affect biological resources. No substantial evidence supporting a fair argument that the project would significantly adversely impact biological resources was provided. The third appeal issue contends that the subsequent mitigated negative declaration did not fully account for the diversity of species present on the project site, including special status species. The appellant's biologist surveyed the incorrect site, and the survey and analysis provided do not meet the requirements of the city's biology guidelines. The surveyed property is a large riparian corridor at the bottom of a slope that supports a greater diversity of wildlife than the project site. Further, the appellant's analysis incorrectly identifies species as sensitive. A site-specific biology report was prepared for the project in accordance with the city's biology guidelines. The biology report included an analysis to determine which sensitive species have the potential to occur on the site based on literature review and site conditions. Although the report concluded that no sensitive species were observed during the various surveys, it did identify 6 special status species with a high potential to occur within the undeveloped hillside area adjacent to the proposed development. Because proposed development would be primarily within the existing footprint, impacts on special status species were determined to be less than significant. The fourth appeal issue contends that the subsequent mitigated negative declaration relied on an inadequate biology report. A site-specific biology report was prepared by a qualified biologist in accordance with the city's biology guidelines. The methodologies included both a comprehensive literature review, a field survey, and field survey components. 5 field surveys were conducted at various times of the year between 2021 and 2024. The environmental documents' reliance on the site-specific biology report was appropriate. The fifth appeal issue contends that the project will have a significant impact on reproductive capacity because of habitat loss, fragmentation, and alteration. The proposed development would be located primarily within the existing footprint. The impact on southern maritime chaparral falls below the city's CEQA significance determination thresholds. The impacts are not considered significant and mitigation is not required. The project would comply with the city's MSCP MHPA land use adjacency guidelines as a condition of approval, thereby preventing significant indirect impacts. Considering impacts are less than 1/10 of an acre, the project does not result in a significant habitat loss, fragmentation, or alteration, and would not significantly impact reproductive capacity. The appellant's biology survey and analysis were conducted on the incorrect site. The appeal does not provide sufficient information to support this claim. The sixth appeal issue contends that the project will have a significant impact on wildlife as a result of collisions with additional traffic generated by the project. The roadway wildlife collision analysis provided in the appeal represents a significantly different roadway condition from the project site and does not provide an accurate representation of the overall project. The appeals analysis does not consider that the project would redevelop existing research and development uses with similar uses. The roadways exist, and the project does not propose any roadway construction through a wildlife corridor area that would introduce a wildlife collision issue. The calculations provided in the appeal regarding the wildlife collisions are therefore incorrect and unsubstantiated. The appeal incorrectly assumes that the impacts to all wildlife species, including common species, would be considered significant. Impacts on common species are not considered significant and do not require mitigation. No substantial evidence was provided that the project may result in significant wildlife impacts. The seventh appeal issue contends that the project would have a significant impact on birds as a result of window collisions. As a condition of approval, the project would incorporate bird-safe glass to reduce the potential window collisions, consistent with the guidance provided by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Therefore, impacts are less than significant. The eighth appeal issue contends that the project is incompatible with the MSCP subarea plan and the existing easement agreement. The project was found to be compatible and consistent with the MSCP subarea plan. Compliance with the MHPA land use adjacency guidelines would be required as a condition of approval. Project development would be primarily restricted to the 3.6 acres of disturbed portions of the site outside of the existing open space easement. The parking area improvements proposed are allowed per the express terms of the existing agreement. The project was found to be compatible and consistent with the existing easement agreement. Consistent with the city's environmentally sensitive land regulations, a new covenant of easement would be recorded over the remaining sensitive habitat and steep slopes on site as a condition of project approval. The ninth appeal issue contends that CEQA documents, such as the mitigated negative declaration, must discuss cumulative biological impacts and mitigate significant cumulative impacts. Cumulative impacts on biological resources in the city are addressed through the project's consistency with the city's MSCP subarea plan. The project would not substantially contribute to cumulative significant impacts to habitat or sensitive species, as it was found to be in conformance with the city's MSCP subarea plan. The subsequent mitigated negative declaration's conclusion that cumulative impacts would be less than significant is supported by substantial evidence, and therefore the appeal claims are unsubstantiated and inaccurate. The 10th appeal issue contends that the MND's proposed mitigation measures are insufficient to reduce the project's biological impacts as it defers mitigation. As detailed throughout the staff report and this presentation, the project does not result in significant impacts to sensitive biological resources, and therefore no restoration or revegetation plans are required. The project was found to be in conformance with the MSCP land use adjacency guidelines, which have been made a condition of approval. There is no deferral of mitigation. Now I'll pass it back to Hector.
On July 30th, 2025, the California Coastal Commission raised the following issues. 1, project environmental review. 2, consistency with the university community plan policies. And 3, brush management impacts. City staff has reviewed the email and prepared a table with detailed responses to each issue, which is contained in the staff report. Staff responses are as follows. The impacts were adequately analyzed and appropriate for the environmental determination was made. The project was reviewed for consistency with the existing certified university community plan, and staff determined the project is consistent with the community plan's goals, policy, and objectives. The project is consistent with the landscape regulations set forth in the municipal code by providing up to 35 feet or more of brush management zone 2, which does not impact ESL, and up to 65 feet of brush management zone 1. After thoroughly reviewing each appeal issue and each issue from the California Coastal Commission, staff continued to support the approval of the project. Staff has determined the project is consistent with the goals and policies and development regulations and effort for this site per the San Diego Municipal Code, the General Plan, and the University Community Plan. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission deny the appeal and affirm the hearing officer's decision to approve the project. This concludes staff presentation. Staff, the applicant's team, and I are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any clarifying questions, Commissioner Boomhauer or Vice Chair Boomhauer?
Just to clarify the record, and thank you for the report. I think you just flipped this. Can you go back to staff's response to Coastal Commission? Because what you said is exactly for the brush management under item 3 was exactly the opposite of what was on your slide. So I just want to make sure we're clarifying for the record if zone 1 is 35 feet or 65 feet and zone 2 is 35 feet or 65 feet. It's slide 31. Sorry.
Yes, I apologize. The landscape regulations set forth by the municipal code is 35 feet or more brush management zone 1, and which that doesn't impact ESL, and up to 65 feet of brush management zone 2.
And that's what the staff report said. I just wanted to make sure,
Yes.
since it was different, what you said and what was in your slide was different. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified. Thank you.
Are there any other clarifying questions? No? Okay, we can move on to public comment. Carla Middleton. Looks like you have a presentation. Evan Wilson, are you okay? Carl Osmundson, okay. Samuel Belomio, okay. Are you all speaking or is one person making a present? Okay. So your collective presentation will be 12 minutes. Can you,
Oh, you just push it once. Okay, sorry.
can you please start over and repeat your name?
Apologies. My name is Carla Middleton. Our project proposes demolishing the existing 76,694 square foot R&D building to be replaced with a 152,080 square foot state-of-the-art R&D facility with 2 stories above grade, 1 basement level, and 4 stories of below-grade parking. The building features bird-safe class, which provides ample natural light to the facility for world-class research and development of life-saving pharmaceuticals and medical devices, and promotes user health and well-being.
Yeah, I'm Carl Osmundson. I'm a principal biologist with Helix Environmental Planning. And we can go to the next slide, please. Do you want to cover this one? Yeah.
Sorry about that. So this is our proposed project. As you can see, the existing building footprint is still utilized for the new building while we push the building back away from the canyon to reduce impacts on any of the biological areas. Next slide. The building is currently only 30% occupied due to lack of natural light and poor planning on the footprint. So we are proposing to open up that natural light and create less of an eyesore and curb appeal to be able to bring in world-class research. And the elevated parking garage currently is the first thing you see on site. So our project proposes undergrounding that parking to allow the building to pull back and provide more natural light.
Thank you, Carla. Next slide, please. I want to start by thanking staff for putting together a great presentation. Some of the points that you're going to hear here were covered by staff, but wanted to bring to attention to everybody the facts of the environmental analysis. And again, as stated, it was completed by our firm, Helix Environmental. We're a local firm. We've been working with the city and we've held multiple contracts with the city for many, many years. Project was found to be in conformance with CEQA, the city's land development code biology guidelines, the MSCP, community plan consistency, and others. As mentioned too, the project is an underutilized infill project that has been specifically designed to incorporate a reduced footprint with avoidance of the slope to the east that does contain some sensitive habitat. Where there are uses within the existing easement, as stated, those are allowable uses, and we plan very, very carefully to limit those uses just within the outer periphery. Project impacts are restricted primarily to the developed and landscaped areas, and you'll see that in some of the photos I'm going to share, with no suitable habitat for species. As mentioned by staff, 5 different surveys were completed by biologists over various times of the year. Where we do have impacts, those are limited to less than the 1/10 of an acre threshold of significance. So those were found to be less than significant. As you heard too, the appellant's assessment, excuse me, was completed on an entirely different property, and much of the information there was misrepresented and flawed. And last, as you saw in the timeline, the project environmental determination was approved by City Council on July 21st, 2025. Next slide, please. So back on the full environmental compliance, this was several years of work. The project was found to be in full compliance with CEQA, with the applicable city guidelines, with the MSCP for biological resources, other local, regional, and state regulations. It was found to be consistent with the community plan. And again, city council approved that environmental determination. Next slide, please. Just to reiterate some of the key points that went into the design again, the proposed building footprint is reduced compared to the existing, and it retreats from the adjacent slope. The existing open space easement does allow for that limited parking, landscaping, walls, and other uses. And again, those uses were really limited to the outer periphery of that existing easement. The impacts within the open space easement are actually decreased from the existing condition from 1.27 acres down to 0.87. And that's with respect to the allowed brush management zones as well. The brush management zone overlap within that easement is also reduced by that corresponding 0.26 acre. And as mentioned by staff, a covenant of easement would be recorded over that avoided open space with habitat and steep slopes. Next slide, please. So this is a biology slide, and just wanted to go over the high points. Some of the images here, you'll see a map with some of the vegetation communities and habitat types in relation to the actual project impact footprint, which is in the white crosshatch. The photos below are really where I want to draw everyone's attention, because those photos represent the areas immediately adjacent to the existing building where the impacts are proposed. And as you can see, we're talking about maintained, disturbed understory of the existing landscaping. Many areas, they're actively irrigated, right? These are areas immediately adjacent to the building, which, as a biologist who's been doing this for 23 years now, through our assessments, we firmly determined that they are not suitable for any of the sensitive biological resources that we typically look for in the region. And that includes one species, the Crotch's bumblebee, that has been brought up. We did determine no suitable habitat. Again, where we do have encroachment into sensitive habitat, that's 0.07 acre, and that was found to be less than significant, below the city's significant thresholds. Next slide. A little bit on the appellant, again, just to reiterate that their biologist, or the folks who provided the information, had visited and surveyed the incorrect property. That property was located over 800 feet east of the site. The claim that the observations were made at or adjacent to the project site were false and unprofessional. And the comments on the account of diversity of species on the site and other items were therefore misrepresented and flawed. And last slide, as stated by staff, we are more than happy to answer any questions. We would encourage and support your approval of this project. Thank you.
Does that conclude your presentation? Okay.
That does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other public speakers?
Jeff Huter, you may unmute yourself. You will have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I will need 3 minutes. First thing, as a matter of practice, both from staff and other presenters, if you could actually put page numbers on your slides, that would be really helpful in making comments. So that would be a recommendation in general. The other thing that I noticed is that the issue of the Crotch's bumblebee has come up several times in this, and I noticed that they like milkweed and lupins and other types of vegetation, and I don't know if it's a mitigation possibility to actually use that as part of the plantings and the landscaping of these projects. That would probably be a good question for Commissioner Miyahara, but I don't see him there today, but I'll leave my comment at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Haley Uno.
Good morning. My name is Haley Uno from Lozo Drury LLP. I am speaking today on behalf of the Appellant Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, or SAFER. SAFER respectfully requests that the Commission grant SAFER's appeal and require the city to prepare an AIR instead of an MND for this project. Under CEQA, an EIR is required because there is a fair argument that the project may have significant adverse impacts on biological resources. Expert wildlife ecologist Dr. Sean Smallwood concluded that the MND's biological report failed to account for the diversity of species at the project site. He also identified several other deficiencies in the MND's biological report. For example, the MND failed to provide essential methodological details and relied on an incomplete review of available literature and databases to inform its field surveys and interpret its findings. In addition, Dr. Smallwood concluded that the project would have significant adverse biological impacts related to habitat loss and traffic mortality. Furthermore, the MND failed to analyze the project's potentially significant cumulative impacts on biological resources. The project is also incompatible with the pre-existing easement agreement on the project site and inconsistent with the City of San Diego's multiple species conservation program. An EIR is needed to analyze these impacts. Lastly, Dr. Smallwood found that the proposed mitigation measures for the MND were insufficient. For example, the MND improperly relied on the future development of restoration plans to address the project's impacts. This deferred mitigation is prohibited under CEQA, and these plans should be developed before project approval and presented in an EIR. So for the reasons I have discussed here and in SAFER's written comments, we again ask that you require the preparation of an EIR instead of an MND. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comment. We can move on to commission comment. Vice Chair Boomhauer.
Thank you, Chair. I love a good pretextual appeal to start the day. I do want to thank SAFER for their appeal and staff for their great analysis. It's been a while since I had such a great case study for my CEQA lecture in my real estate and development law class. And I'm going to be using this, so thanks. This appeal is ridiculous. Everything about it's ridiculous, starting with the biologist not even looking at a site close enough to even stretch the bounds of credulity with saying that it's adjacent. But hey, glad they did it. Glad they were willing to spend the time for their lawyers. I hope the union gets what they want out of this. But I'm going to move staff's recommendation to deny the appeal and affirm the hearing officer's decision. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion. Commissioner Marlborough.
Yeah, I just had a question before I make a motion. Okay. So site specific is something that stuck out to me. And I was curious, did the appellant have access to the project site?
Are they even here?
I do not believe they had site access to the project site, but there were other biology reports that have been completed in the area that may have been utilized to look at the conditions that would be similar to the project. They could have also reviewed historic aerial photos. So they may not have had access to the exact project site, but there could have been other sites that have been surveyed or that could have been surveyed that would have similar biological resources.
Okay, well, my point is, Helix had access in their report. They by foot plus they use binoculars to use this. And I'm just curious why the applicant, I mean, not the applicant, but the appellant didn't do that. And I guess they could have asked, but they didn't move that. So the other part of this is, so we'll use the 250 meters. Just put this in contrast. That's 273 yards. That's 2 football fields and 175. That's a long ways. That's a big difference. And so I'm in support of what Commissioner Boomhauer said. I had a lot of questions, but there's no need. I'll second the motion for the denial of the appeal.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Mazzari.
No, I just was going to make a comment that I agree. I don't have a class to teach, but I agree with everything you said. Thank you.
Thank you. No further comments, it looks like from the commission. We have a motion and a second. I think we can go to a vote. And that passes unanimously. So denial of the appeal and support of staff's recommendation. Thank you. And that adjourns our hearing for today.